Welcome to the Recklessly Skeptical Podcast. My name is Josh.
This is Matt.
And I'm Joe.
And we're here today, and we wanted to, and today is February 28th, and you can find us both on Spreaker and on YouTube under Recklessly Skeptical. You can also find our individual channels, which are ZZZ Giant Awake for myself.
And Joe and I are the evil atheist. That was pretty good.
Yeah, also,
Thanks.
Also join us on the Facebook page, or the Facebook group, The Evil Atheist. We're really active on there, and we talk and joke and bullshit and make memes of Joe saying stupid shit.
It's fun. Hey, it's true.
All right, so let's move on to, we got the science story of the week. Or
The science story.
we still don't have it named.
Yeah. Well, let's get our listeners to name the science story.
That would be awesome. You guys should do that. Comment section.
Comment, name the science. Yeah.
And also, me and Matt were talking about something else before we get into that, actually. If you want us to make a video on our YouTube channels of any subject, here's how you do it. So if you want me to make a video, all you have to do is subscribe to me, subscribe to Recklessly Skeptical, and join our Facebook page. Just put on the Facebook page, say, hey, I'm subscribed to both of you. Why don't you give me your opinion on blank? Even if it's weird or woo-ish or funny, whatever you want us to make a movie on, a response video, that type of thing. And for Matt, just The Evil Atheist, Recklessly Skeptical, just subscribe to both of those and comment on the Facebook page, The Evil Atheist.
Do it.
Do it now. Do it right now as you're listening to this. Because you're right there at the computer anyway, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I hope so.
Yep.
All right, so science story.
The science story, this is from I Fucking Love Science. The date, February 24th. It is about a meteor that exploded over the Atlantic Ocean with more force than the Hiroshima bomb and stuff, which is, I say this every time, which is pretty cool. I love science stories. It's the largest fireball since the one that happened in 2013 in Russia.
That's a huge bitch.
That's a huge bitch. It happened on February 6th, about 2 p.m. in the South Atlantic Ocean. I think they said about 1,000 miles south of Rio de Janeiro in Brazil. So it was pretty far south, so most likely nobody saw it. It was right over the ocean. It wasn't caught on camera or anything, but data released by NASA shows that the meteor released an energy equivalent to 13,000 tons of TNT and was moving 9.6 miles per second. That's fucking fast.
That's so crazy.
And I mean, we talked about this before on the podcast about how NASA is now leading they opened up just a whole new section of NASA. All they do is talk about how to deflect meteors and stuff that come at us now and stuff. So I thought this was pretty cool because it was a huge explosion. It was bigger than the Hiroshima bomb and stuff. And if that would have landed anywhere over a crowded city or anything like that, it could have been extremely devastating.
Yeah.
And that's why I'm thankful that we have education and science to, hopefully at least see something like that if it's coming and
not just try to pray it away.
Yeah, and potentially, maybe they can do something about it and save our species. So I think that's really awesome. Go science.
Amen. Yeah.
Amen.
Yeah, that is I mean, it's crazy to think about. That's probably the third, what I would rank as the third largest existential threat to humanity. So I think it's cool that they're doing that and doing the research. Just imagine if we could harness that power.
We would be gods among men.
All right. So if you have any thoughts on that, please leave those thoughts in the comments section.
Yeah, comment below.
All right, so let's move on, I guess, to the second part of this, which is we're going to talk a little bit about the debate. And I think it happened on Thursday. I want to say Thursday, but I might be wrong.
This is the Republican debate, right?
Yes.
Oh, that shit show.
Yeah, it is hilarious. And we're actually, the first two clips are just for entertainment, just to show how much of a shit show it was.
Can we... okay, we were listening to something earlier. Are you going to play that?
Yeah, I think so. You'll have to tell me if I didn't play it, because we listened to a number of things earlier.
Yeah, okay.
So.
It was just about the people who voted for Trump.
Oh no, maybe we can get that at the end. But
Yeah, I would like to play that.
yeah, so maybe at the very end we'll catch that in. But let's listen to the debate. So here's the first clip, and it's Donald Trump because it's going to be hard to.
I know politicians.
There's a little sound clip. Matt, I guess, gets a punishment if you guys want to decide a punishment for Matt. But it's Donald Trump talking to Ted Carson. Rubio gets a few shots in here, and Wolf Blitzer's the one who's trying to take control of this shit. But yeah, here's the state of the Republican Party currently.
I know politicians, believe it or not, better than you do, and it's not good.
Oh, I believe it. No, I believe you know politicians much better than I do because for 40 years you've been funding liberal Democratic politicians. And by the way,
I funded you.
The
I
reason
funded him.
You're welcome to have the check back.
I funded this guy.
Because let's
I gave
be clear.
him a check.
Yeah, you gave
him
me
a check.
$5,000.
You never funded me.
And by the way, let's be clear. Donald claims to care
You know why? I didn't
about
want to, but he sent me his book with his autograph.
Donald, I understand rules
Mr.
are very
Trump,
hard
you're
for you.
doing
They're
a great
very
job.
confusing.
I have his book.
Okay,
Yeah, on your reality
Trump,
TV
you're doing a
show,
great
not
job.
in
Thank you for the book.
Donald.
Thank you for the book. Go ahead.
Donald, you can get back on
There's
your
a
meds
lot of
now.
fun up here tonight, I have to tell you. Thank you for the book. I really appreciate it.
Donald, relax.
Go ahead. I'm relaxed. You're the
sent him a
basket
book.
case. Go ahead. Go ahead. Don't get nervous. Go ahead.
My
I
name
promise
is,
you,
my
Donald,
name is
there's
mentioned.
nothing about
I've
you
seen
that
you.
makes
I've
anyone
seen
nervous.
You're
You know,
losing
people
so
are
badly
actually
watching
watching
this.
this.
You don't know what's happening.
Gentlemen.
Wolf, I'm going to ask that my time not be deducted
That's
when
time
he's
is up,
yelling
Wolf.
at you.
Gentlemen.
Control.
Okay, now.
The latest debate,
Well, hold
gentlemen,
on. I
please.
get my answer. He doesn't get to
Wait,
yell
I
at the whole
want
time.
to move on. These are the rules.
He,
We can't move
excuse
on.
me. He
We're
called
moving
me
on.
You
a
know what?
liar
You
and then
should
interrupted
move on.
the whole time.
No,
Am I
Wolf,
allowed?
Wolf,
Do I
Gentlemen.
not get a response?
You have-
you
Do I
should
not
move
get a
on.
response
You'll
without
get,
being
plenty
interrupted?
of response, so stand by. My name was
Sure, I want definitely one of those leading my country. Jesus Christ, man.
Yeah,
Jesus, that was
it's-
a shit show for sure. dude.
It's pathetic.
yeah, and
And
that
they're
was-
not even arguing about issues
yeah.
or anything that matters.
Yeah.
They're just
Wolf,
talking
I want to
shit
talk
to each
first.
other.
Let me talk first.
Wolf Blitzer, he called me a name. I want to respond. Yeah. God. I think that this is the first time they've actually done a decent job of hitting Donald Trump. And we'll get to that in a minute. I think Rubio did good, and all that clip will come up. But here's another example of the shit show that is the Republican Party presidential debate.
I mean, first of all, this guy's a joke artist, and this guy's a liar. You have a combination.
guy always goes for-
you have a combination of factors. He
This is
can't
so
do it for the
typical.
obvious reason, and he
But
can't do
here's
it
the
because
typical
he
thing he
doesn't
does.
know how to tell the truth.
Here-
Other than that, I rest my case.
This is the typical thing he does on any debate about policy.
One at a time,
He goes right for the outrageous
Governor
thing.
Kasich, you have the floor. Governor,
Hugh, I get a response to that.
you will have a response, but I promised Governor Kasich he could respond. Can somebody attack me, please?
Okay, here, Wolf. There's something.
And that's the second part.
I love Ben Carson at the end. Will someone attack me, please?
He's going the Jeb Bush route.
Please clap.
Please clap.
Oh man, that is just awful.
Yeah, it's ridiculous. I mean, this is a presidential debate. Like, these are supposed to be like. Think about it. This is something that like Thomas Jefferson, James Madison, and John Adams all engaged in at the same time when they were running for president early on in this country. Do you think they would have sounded like this?
I don't think so. No.
And what's sad is when Trump said, I don't remember what he said, but he said some bullshit, and the crowd starts cheering and clapping, and it just shows you how bad the Republican base is.
Well, they're extremely ignorant, and that's why I'd like you to play that video sometime. I just got a text.
More
Email.
punishments.
Punishment.
Yes.
Punish
And
me.
punishments are recorded. They will be on camera, so you will get to watch them if you decide to come up with one. Just leave it in the comment section or on the Evil Atheist Facebook group page. So here is where the actual attacks that I think worked came in. And Marco Rubio was the one who led those attacks. And these are 3 separate clips. I'm just going to run them all in a row from the CNN debate. Here they come.
biggest problem he's got is he really doesn't know about the lines. The biggest thing we've got, and the reason we have no competition, is because we have lines around the state, and you have essentially
we already mentioned that as part of my
monopolies in the
plan.
state.
I know what that is. But what else is part of your plan? So your only thing is to get rid of the lines around the states. What else is part of your health care plan?
What the lines around the states mean.
That's your only
and it
plan.
was almost done. No. You know
All
what
right,
that does?
I'll
That
give him
brings
time
in,
of mind that he can
excuse
tell
me,
us his plan.
Excuse me. That
What's your
brings
plan?
in competition. When you get rid of the lines, it brings in competition. So instead of having one insurance company taking care of New York or Texas, you'll have many. They'll compete, and it'll be a beautiful thing.
Right. And so that's the only part of the plan? Just the lines, the interstate competition?
No, the nice part about the plan, you'll have many different plans. You'll have competition. You'll have so many different plans.
But now he's repeating himself.
No, I'm not repeating. No. I don't repeat myself.
You don't repeat yourself.
Here's the guy who repeats himself.
You repeat yourself every day.
I watched him, talking about repeating, I watched him repeat himself 5 times 4 weeks ago. And
I saw
want to
you
tell
repeat yourself 5
it
times
was a
5
meltdown.
seconds ago.
I watched him melt down on the stage like I've never seen anybody. I thought he came out of the swimming pool.
I said, well,
Let's talk
I see him
about
repeat
your
himself
plan.
every night. It says 5 things. Everyone's dumb.
Senator
He's going to
Rubio.
make America great
Senator
again. We're going to
Rubio.
win, win, win.
Senator
He's
Rubio,
winning in the
please.
polls.
It's all true.
And the
Please
lines
stop.
around the state. Every night. Same thing.
Senator Rubio.
I tell the truth. I tell
Senator
the
Rubio,
truth.
you will have time to respond. If you
All
would
right.
just let Mr. Trump respond to what
Yeah,
you
he's
just
gonna give us
posed
his
to
plan
him.
now, right?
If
Okay.
you could talk a little bit more about your plan. I know you talked about
No,
the
we're going to have
interstate.
many different plans
Can you
because
give
there's
us
going to be
specific?
competition.
Said it again.
There's going to be competition. There is going to be competition among all of the states and the insurance companies. They're going to have many different to such an extent that our businesses cannot compete with them. Our workers lose their
And so
jobs.
you make them
but
in
you
China
wouldn't
and
know
in
anything
Russia.
about it because you're a lousy
Well, I don't know
businessman.
anything about bankrupting 4 companies.
No,
You
I
bankrupted
know.
4
You know what?
companies.
You know what?
I don't know anything about
You know what?
starting a
That's
university.
called-
That was a fake university.
First of all,
a fake university.
That's called.
There are people that borrow $36,000 to go to Trump
Trump.
University, and they're suing him now. $36,000 to go to a university.
And by the way,
that's a fake school.
And by the way,
and you know what they got? They got to take a
I've won
picture
most
with
of
a
the
cardboard
lawsuit.
cutout of Donald Trump.
And by the way,
that's what they
I've
got
won
for the
most of the
$36,000.
I want to move
and
on.
they actually did a very good job. But
Mr.
I've
Trump.
won most of the lawsuit.
Senator, I want to
most
bring in
of the lawsuit.
I want
That
to
means
bring
he
in my
lost
colleague
part of the
Maria
lawsuit.
Celeste.
Excuse me, hey, Wolf, let me ask you, am I allowed to respond to this
You're
guy?
allowed. You've been
Okay,
responsible.
well, no, I haven't. I really haven't.
He's
Go
talked
ahead.
through the whole
I
thing.
haven't. Here's the guy that buys a house for $179,000. He sells it to a lobbyist who's probably here for $380,000, and then legislation is passed. You tell me about this guy. This is what we're going to have.
Here's the
as
guy that
president?
inherited $200 million. If he hadn't inherited $200 million, you know where Donald Trump would be right now? Selling watches in Manhattan.
That's so wrong. We'll work on that. I took $1 million and I turned it into $10 billion. I borrowed $1
Then
million.
release your tax return so we can see how
I
much money he
borrowed
makes.
$1 million. I turned it
doesn't
into
make that much
$10
money.
billion, more than $10 billion.
Thank you. I want
to work on your projects illegally. You hired some workers
I'm
from
the only
Poland.
one of the states that's hired people. You haven't hired anybody.
Well, in fact, some of the people he
by the way,
hired. Well, but hold on.
I've hired,
And
by the way, I've hired tens of thousands of people over my job. You've hired
hired
nobody.
1,000 people
You've
from
had
another
nothing
company,
but problems
from another
with your
country.
credit cards, etc.
Let me
So
say.
don't
Let
tell
me just
me
say.
about
Well,
that.
let me finish
Senator,
the statement.
hold
This is
on.
important.
You haven't hired one
He
person in
hired
your life.
workers from Poland, and he had to pay $1 million or so in a judgment.
wrong.
For hiring.
That's
It is-
wrong.
That's a fact.
Totally wrong.
Well, people can look it up. I'm sure people are Googling it right now. Look it up.
Senator Cruz.
Trump
Excuse
Polish
me.
workers. You'll see $1 million for hiring
Excuse me.
illegal workers on one of his projects.
yeah.
Yeah, he did.
And there comes Rubio with the fucking sledgehammer that night.
Yeah. And what I'm starting to see now, especially in that debate, Trump has gone way up in the delegate points, in the delegate count. And so I see, and all these other candidates here are like, oh shit. And so they're kind of fighting fire with fire. I know we discussed that last time, but they're like, okay, well, what's Trump doing to get all these points? Well, he's coming out and being an asshole, and he's talking shit, and he's swearing, and he's just So I think a lot of them were like, okay, maybe if I want to get the same delegates, this is something I need to do, instead of actually talking substance.
No, but those are substantial attacks. Like,
Well,
Trump,
yeah,
Trump
I
University was a bullshit university. They even had to change the name from Trump University to something else because it's not a university. It wasn't accredited. It was nothing. But he would take people's money.
What I saw right there, or what I heard, was Marco Rubio calling Trump on his fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
You know?
And was being very Trump about it, though. You know what I mean?
Yeah, he was being pretty brash.
Yeah.
But he wasn't saying Trump's a pussy. Oh, I can't say this. I can't say this.
Well, no,
pussy.
that's not what I'm saying at all. I'm just saying they're all getting very Trump. They're all getting very they're getting belligerent almost. You know what I mean? They're coming out like, Rubio was pointing out points, and he had some real talking points, but he was being very Trump about it.
Well, yeah, but I mean, I think what you're interpreting as being very Trump is that he wasn't letting Trump walk over him like Jeb Bush did. Jeb Bush, when Trump, in one of the debates, went shh and held up his finger to Jeb Bush's face, or towards Jeb Bush's face. Jeb Bush shut the fuck up. Like, he just shut down. He stopped talking mid-sentence. And that looks so weak to the Republican base. Like, there's just no way that you can do that. So Rubio has learned from Jeb Bush. And he also learned from the Chris Christie thing, because all of a sudden Rubio had all those Rubio bots, which is hilarious.
Yeah.
But now he took a page from Chris Christie's book and said, hey, look at Trump. He's repeating himself. This is the fourth time he said his plan is to take away state lines, whatever that means. And he showed how flat Trump has an idea of healthcare. Like, he doesn't. Like, whenever there was a time that I'm trying to think, a pundit described a candidate, and he said that he wants universal healthcare for everyone, or wants healthcare for everyone. And it was and there was a lot of other things, and Trump's like, oh, that's me, and they're like, no, that was Bernie Sanders.
Yeah.
So, I mean, he doesn't know what he wants as far as healthcare goes. He hasn't fleshed that out at all, and Rubio's showed that. And again, I don't agree with Rubio as a politician, but damn, he came out hit hard.
Yeah, I don't agree with Rubio, but I definitely enjoyed him bitch slapping Trump right there.
I also want to point out real quick, and I know it's kind of off the subject, but you mentioned Bernie. There was a media blackout. 45 different cities had a march for Bernie on Friday, the 26th, or whatever. And thousands of people showed up on each one and stuff. And then that was another thing they asked Trump. They're like, thousands of people are coming to these rallies.
Yeah.
This person, who is this person? And he's all, me. They're all, no, that's Bernie Sanders.
Yeah. And they both do draw a lot of independent people to their shows, and for obviously some of the same reasons and some very contrastly
different.
Yeah, very different reasons. Racist obviously have been coming out. I mean, you hear about, like, what was his name? The guy who, I want to say Duke. Let me look that up real quick. Yeah, it was David Duke who is a leader in the KKK, and he was also a politician for a little while. But yeah, he came out and endorsed Trump, and you guys used somebody else?
Matt was saying someone else endorsed him.
So Trump picked up an endorsement from an anti-gay, Holocaust-denying, neo-Nazi, racist French politician. He's a far-right French political party founder who called for people living with HIV to be isolated from society. And he said, his name is Jean-Marie Le Pen. He has endorsed Donald Trump for president. And this is his quote: "If I was American, I would vote for Donald Trump, but may God protect him." He tweeted that. Yeah, so that's the type of people, or at least a fraction, a percentage of the people that Trump brings to the table.
Yeah.
KKK members and Holocaust-denying motherfuckers from France.
And is that the guy who you wanted to bring up? Because we were talking about a couple of different. The next line on our board is He picked up a couple endorsements. That was one of them. And then an endorsement that he picked up, the major one that's not insane, is he picked up Chris Christie. And it's weird. Like, a couple weeks ago, Chris Christie was saying that Donald Trump isn't the right person to run the country, and with decent reasons for saying that. And then he came out this last week supporting Donald Trump. Matt and me talked about it a little bit. He knows my theory. Joe, why do you think Chris Christie would all of a sudden come out and support Donald Trump when Chris Christie is part or receives establishment money?
I don't know. Maybe he's trying to get votes.
Chris Christie's not running for president anymore.
Oh, he's not anymore.
Yeah, he dropped out and then endorsed Trump.
Oh, God, I don't know.
I think it's more obvious than you think. So Chris Christie is an establishment figure, and he takes a lot of establishment money. But this essentially proved that this run where he did absolute shit. I mean, he got the Rubio people to make fun of Rubio, which was awesome.
Yeah.
But he essentially showed that he's no longer a viable presidential candidate.
Okay.
So the only way that he could ever get into that conversation ever again is if he works on the cabinet of somebody who happens to be president.
Oh, okay.
So he's endorsing Trump, hoping for some quid pro quo there.
Hoping he can become Secretary of State or something stupid like that.
Yeah, or vice president.
Yeah.
God, could you imagine a Trump
Christie? Oh my God!
You know what's scary is I can imagine that ticket. So we're past the point, and let's kind of go back to something we were talking about in the first part. We're past the point where it's 85% chance in my mind. I would say maybe even higher that this and I know this is going to depress you, Joe, but I think it's 85% chance that we see Trump versus Clinton. And if that's the case, I could very easily see Trump winning, and not very easily, but if Trump pulls all these independent voters out, again, talking about how there are more independent voters than Republicans or Democrats, if he pulls in a bunch of independent voters, Trump could very easily win this, especially if the Democrats are exhausted. Like, because a lot of us have bought into Bernie Sanders. We really like Bernie Sanders. We like what he brings to the table. We do not want another establishment politician from the left who takes money from banks and gives them cuts and wags their finger. Like, that pisses me off when she goes, I went there and I told them that they're wrecking the economy. So all you did was go in front of these powerful people and wave your finger at them.
And then got paid for it.
And then got paid for it by them.
Yeah.
And she won't release her speeches, which she could do to prove that she talked to them real harshly, but she won't release those papers because she probably talked about them glowingly, saying, oh, you guys are the staple of the economy. You guys are what makes America great.
Yeah, and her fucking grandson is not her grandson, her son-in-law is a hedge fund manager. So she's the biggest hypocrite in politics that I have seen lately right now. She flip-flops more than anybody just for votes. She's doing it all for her, and that's the thing. That's why I don't like her. That's why I like Bernie Sanders, because he's doing it for us, and that's the point of politics. You're supposed to have people in there helping us, helping the people. It's for the people, by the people. And she's not for the people at all. Bernie Sanders is, and Trump is saying he is, when he's in fact not. He thinks he is. He's a fucking psycho. And the rest of the guys are doing it for God knows what. Sorry.
That's probably exactly it for God.
Yeah, exactly. And so... And I know, yeah. Clinton and Trump, and what you were saying is right, A lot of us we've invested into Bernie. We are invested. And if he doesn't get the nominee, a lot of us aren't going to turn out to vote for Hillary. And so I'm sure it would most likely be a Trump presidency.
Yeah, and I'm not willing to say to be most likely a Trump presidency. I'd say I'm on the fence on that 50-50, but yes, I could imagine a Trump Christie ticket, and I could imagine that ticket fucking winning. How depressing is that?
Yeah, and that's why I keep saying Bernie or bust, man.
And
do you get it now?
Well, no. I mean, because if we
I'm not going to vote for Hillary.
I know you're not. But if we did, if people voted for Hillary, at least we could avoid that catastrophe. But, I mean, for how long? Because if she's another establishment character who runs the country the same way that it's been and we don't avert another crisis, then people are going to vote more radically right.
I think the American people have been bending so much that they're breaking. I'm not going to bend anymore. Bernie or bust.
And it pisses me off. I've seen some people on Facebook talk about Bernie or bust and saying if a lot of people do the Bernie or bust. It's our fault that Trump will get elected or some Republican, but that's absolute bullshit. If it's a Clinton-Trump, battle, and a bunch of people vote right in Bernie or whatever, it's not our fault that Trump won. It's the people who voted for Trump and the people that didn't vote for Bernie, that voted for Hillary.
Yeah.
It's your fucking problem.
Yeah, so we want to talk real quick about Guantanamo Bay.
Yes, we do. So, I voted for Obama the first time, not the second time. One of the things he said he was going to do from the beginning was close Guantanamo Bay, and 4 years later, I was pretty upset that he hadn't done that. But he is putting in legislation, from what I understand, to close Guantanamo Bay. USA Today is reporting keeping the U.S. military prison at Guantanamo Bay open is contrary to our values, President Obama said Tuesday, as he released a plan that examined 13 potential sites for transferring the suspected terrorists, but did not propose any specific location. His plan sets up a last year confrontation with Congress about a campaign promise made 8 years ago. Terrorists use Guantanamo Bay as propaganda to recruit, and maintaining it harms U.S. national security, he said. The plan has 3 elements. Beyond closing the prison, Obama said, more detainees will be safely transferred, reviewing the threat posed by detainees who are not eligible for transfer, and identifying those eligible for military trials. And I don't know if you guys know where we got a lot of the Guantanamo Bay prisoners when it opened in 2002 or 2003, right around there. The U.S. government told Afghanistan, the Afghanistan government, the Pakistan government, and warlords to get terrorists and give them to us, and we'll give you money.
Oh, so I imagine they were just fucking grabbing people.
They just grabbed people, and they grabbed people who opposed them.
Oh, okay.
And just threw them over there. And it's if you go read up on Guantanamo Bay, a lot of the people over there are innocent.
Yeah.
None of them have had a trial, and they've been there indefinitely. And that's against the Geneva Convention, and that's against our Constitution.
Yeah,
and
but
a lot
we
of people
signed the NDAA. Obama signed the NDAA, the National Defense Authorization Act, which allows.
Yes. But it is against the Constitution, and it is against the Geneva Convention, and it just fucking pisses me off. But I'm hoping that Obama can get it closed. A lot of Republicans are arguing about closing it, and what's interesting, years back in 2008, Senator John McCain, he was for closing it, and so was George Bush in 2008.
Oh,
they
really?
were for closing. I mean, Bush is the one that opened it.
Yeah.
But some of the Republicans had an understanding of how bad Guantanamo Bay is, and they wanted to close it. But now, I don't think there's a Republican out there that would be on board with closing it, because they've all lost their fucking minds.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the unfortunate thing. The Republican pundits have been pulling the party so far to the right that it's fucking insane. And so, Sean Hannity, thank you for that, I guess. Same with Rush Limbaugh.
Yeah, so listen to this.
God, I can't even stand those people.
So it opened in 2002. There's been, since 2002, 783 prisoners, detainees. 532 were released by Bush. 151 released by Obama. There's been 9 deaths or suicides, and there's 91 detainees still in prison. So Bush released most of them. There's only 91 there. Let's give them a fucking trial. Let's give them a due process so we can end this shit and move on. And I think 20 years, 50 years down the road, people will look at Guitmo as a fucking black eye on the United States of America.
The same with our when we went into World War II and we had the
camps for the Japanese.
For the Japanese. That is a black eye, and so is Guitmo.
Yes.
All right. So let's wrap this podcast up, and I'll try and play the clip at the very end after we're done wrapping up, just for shits and giggles to kind of lighten the end because that got a little dark.
Yeah.
All right. So thank you guys for joining us. Be sure to subscribe, like, follow, comment, share, all of that stuff. We really appreciate it. It helps us out way more than you can imagine. The only way we can build a base is by having you guys help us out. So thank you guys. Until next time.
Yep.
See ya.
Peace.
And think passionately.
I do not like political correctness.
Political correctness?
Did you vote today?
Yes, I voted today.
Who'd you vote for?
Trump.
Why are you supporting Trump?
Because he's the one that's going to save our country, turn things around.
Save our country from what?
From terrorism, closing the borders.
The number one thing he speaks to me is the issue that he introduced, and that is sealing the borders of our country.
Let's say Donald Trump gets elected. He's in office for 4 years. If he don't do anything but close the border with Mexico, that will increase the level of security in the United States tremendously. If we don't get control of our borders, we're going to have domestic civil war in this country. We're going to have terrorism, people blowing up buses, and things like that, and killing people.
Supposedly, Donald Trump had said the flag needs to be put in a museum. But you show me a politician that has not said that.
They exploited and manipulated a preconceived plan of ethnic cleansing and political repression against us that have been brewing for years.
They're trying to ethnically cleanse white people?
Well, sure they are. Won't you wake up?
There's an effort to ethnically cleanse white people?
Oh, yes, certainly there is.
Well, give me examples.
Well, there are two bills now in the legislature to demolish or remove every Confederate monument on the State House grounds.
So that's a threat to you being alive?
That's a threat to the whole culture.
I'm asking about Donald Trump. Do you think he is going to put a stop to what you say is white ethnic cleansing?
Listen to Hillary and Bernie.
I'm listening. Talk to me.
Well, what is she saying? Systemic racism. Systemic racism.
You don't think there's systemic racism in America?
Well, if there is, it's usually against all the college professors who are white conservatives who have been fired from their jobs.
You don't think he is generalizing when he says Mexican immigrants are rapists, drug lords? When he says we need a temporary ban on Muslims?
He said, I imagine you got some good people coming over here. He said, but the government was sending the rapists and the drug dealers over here.
All you got to do is look around, you look at the news and see the threat. And it's that simple. But
from Mexico?
Everywhere. All the borders need to be protected.
Do you agree with Donald Trump that President Obama was not born in America?
I don't know where he was born. He could have been born in Kenya. He could have been born in Indonesia, Hawaii. Supposedly the hospital on the birth certificate doesn't exist, or it wasn't open then. The purpose of today is the commemoration of the burning of Columbia, February the 17th, 1865.
Do you understand why this flag is offensive to African Americans?
Well, they really don't know the history.
Can you see this is very painful and offensive to African Americans?
I really don't see that. I think that they've been told that. And
been told that by who?
By the mass media. I think they've been virtually brainwashed, and the NAACP.
What am I missing? Because you say this doesn't stand for slavery and this doesn't stand for oppressing black people.
When I read in history, it was about the North, the federal government coming down and telling people in the South what they should and shouldn't do, and the South succeeded.
South Carolina seceded because they opposed the election of Lincoln.
We can't let those people who have come from a war-racked country, 5 years of civil war, we don't know what's in their heads. I mean, they've seen people shot down in the street and murdered and everything else. They're prime candidates to get here and become criminals. When you say that a crime against a homosexual person also should have hate crimes added to it, but a crime against a heterosexual, they only prosecute you for the crime, you've already elevated the homosexual person above the heterosexual person.
Because they're a minority that was persecuted specifically for that reason.
Yeah, but we live in a democracy. Everybody's supposed to be the same. Everybody's supposed to be equal. What you're trying to say is that LGBT people and homosexuals and whatnot ought to be more.
He knows what needs to be done.
What needs to be done?
Well, like you said, make America great again. In Dixieland, I'll take my stand to live and die in Dixie. Away, away, away down south in Dixie.